Thank you very much. Rob, I'm really sorry. You were the star, and I was going to say, when you've got a talented singer, why do you need a comedian as well? But then, here I am. I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for the support that so many of you have given to James Daly, very nice, brilliant member of Parliament. James is an amazing guy, and a star. The second thing is, I also wanted to thank you for the work that all of you do, the jobs that you create, the wealth you generate, and indeed the taxes that you're kind enough to give to my friend Rishi every year, because it's the success of the private sector that drives our country, and without your hard work, your ambition and enterprise, your creativity, and I've been learning a lot about it, been learning about international garbage solutions, which has now become my favourite company, but there are more to follow. I want to say thank you for that. Levelling up, what does it mean? It means giving everyone a fair share of the investment that government generates and the opportunities that can bring as well. Because while I'm a huge believer in the private sector, in private enterprise and business as the generator of growth and creativity and opportunity, the one thing as well is that government's got a role. And it's wrong that so much of the money that government spends on transport, for example, is spent in London and the South East. It's wrong that so much of the money that is spent on culture has been spent in London and the South East. And it's wrong that we have a situation where in London and the South East you have research money going to prestigious universities. They're great places, but we don't have the same degree of research and development investment going into unis and colleges and into businesses here in the north as well. And there are historic reasons for that. Different governments have not addressed this situation. This government is determined to, and for two reasons. The first one is simply, it is just economically lunatic not to have every part of the country firing on all cylinders. If you just rely on London and the South East, then you're allowing talent to languish and you are not making the most of everyone's potential. And that links to the second thing, which is fairness as well. You can only ensure that everyone in this country does get a fair opportunity if investment in schools and skills, investment in transport and culture is spread more equally, so that every part of the country has the knowledge that government is determined to make it a success. So that's what we're about. Thank you again. Time for a couple of questions, because I think I got in under 5 minutes. If anyone wants to ask me a question, I'll take 2 questions, and then it will be back to the real stop. Any questions? Boris was in Kiev. He was meant to be in Donny. But the two things are, one, Boris wasn't able to speak, but they sent another speaker in his stead. Me. Still disappointing, I know. But the reason is that there's a real challenge in Ukraine now, because some of the other countries, France, Germany, are making overtures to Russia with the idea that they can say, can we have negotiations for peace? Boris thinks, and I completely agree with him, that if you give Putin an inch, he'll take a mile, and that if we have a sort of bogus set of negotiations, and Putin says, all right, that's it, the war's over, then when our back is turned, when our attention is elsewhere, he'll come back for more. And Boris is saying more about investment in training the Ukrainian armed forces, because the world's attention mustn't wander from it. Another question?
Any other questions?
Well, can I say, why did you say
I didn't save Gig Lane, you saved Gig Lane, James. And the reason for that is, when we talk about culture...
Ex-Bury footballer here.
Oh, really?
Very football.
Keith Kennedy.
Oh, right. Once a shaker, always a shaker. But no, when we talk about culture, it means all sorts of things. So it can mean theatres, it can mean music, but it also means those places, and they are in some respects the unsung cathedrals of our country, the football stadia, where people's emotions are engaged, where They grow up, dads go with lads, they feel a real commitment to their community and their local area. And of course, we're blessed in the UK, or I should actually say in England. You can tell I come from Scotland. You're blessed in England with a Premier League which has the world's finest footballers and some of the world's strongest teams. But that couldn't exist without the structure of football that exists across the country in communities. And it's teams like Bury which are at the heart of their community, who have a proud history and I hope a better future. The fact that Gig Lane was run into the ground by an unscrupulous business enterprise, I thought was a tragedy. So working with James, we made sure that the money was available to local supporters so they could take back control of the stadium and of the club. And I know that Bury will have a brighter future. I don't know how many years it will be before Bury is in the Premiership. But I know it won't be long before they're easily doing better than Bolton. And with that, I probably better quit while I'm ahead. Thank you all very much. Thank you.